Have you ever wondered what really happened behind the bright lights of Johnny Carson's legendary Tonight Show? Every laugh, every gasp, every live moment was carefully orchestrated. Or was it? Tonight, we're diving into 16 of the most insane moments in Carson's history. Moments that stunned audiences, shocked his guests, and left even the most seasoned crew speechless. For 30 years, Johnny Carson ruled the late-night world with a cool, unshakable charm that made him the king of television. Every night, millions tuned in to witness his wit, his timing, and his uncanny ability to handle the unpredictable chaos of live TV. But behind that polished persona, even the most composed entertainer could be caught completely off guard. Tonight, we're diving into 16 of the most insane moments on Johnny Carson. Moments so wild, so unexpected, they turned The Tonight Show into pure television magic. And I promise you, number 8 will leave you speechless. But let's start at the beginning, where the chaos began to quietly simmer. Picture this: April 1965, The Tonight Show studio buzzing with anticipation. Ed Ames, known for his role as Mingo on Daniel Boone, was there to demonstrate Tomahawk throwing. Sounds simple, right? A straightforward segment. A quiet explanation of technique. A target set up just waiting for a neat, clean hit. But what happened next? Oh, you wouldn't believe it if you didn't see it. Changed television history forever. Ames's throw was perfect in trajectory, impeccable in aim, but landed squarely in the wooden figure's crotch. The studio erupted. Laughter, chaos, sheer disbelief. And Carson? He completely lost it. Doubled over, tears streaming down his face, unable to speak for what felt like eternity. For nearly 3 minutes, the king of late night surrendered to uncontrollable laughter, turning a simple mishap into a legendary moment that would echo through the decades. When he finally regained composure, his perfectly timed quip landed, sending the audience into fresh hysteria. That moment wasn't just funny. It was a window into Carson's humanity, a rare glimpse of unfiltered joy. Just when you think The Tonight Show was all meticulously rehearsed perfection, enter Don Rickles. October 1973. Rickles guest hosting, and somehow, he breaks Carson's beloved wooden cigarette box. Now Carson, known for his meticulous control over every prop on his desk, couldn't just let that slide. The next night, he addresses it on air, promising subtle, but oh so unforgettable, retribution. Months later, Carson discovers Rickles filming his sitcom nearby and decides to confront him in person, cameras rolling. The result? Pure chaos and hilarity. Carson bursts onto the set, unannounced, catching Rickles mid-scene. The audience, confused yet riveted, watches as Carson delivers a mixture of mock fury and genuine amusement. It's spontaneous, unpredictable, and utterly captivating. A perfect example of Carson's rare willingness to abandon formality and let spontaneity reign. The moment became instant television legend, replayed countless times, reminding viewers that even the most controlled host could revel in delightful anarchy. Fast forward to May 1992, The Tonight Show nearing its grand finale. Bette Midler steps onto the stage with a gift no one could anticipate: a tender rendition of One for My Baby. As she sings, the cameras capture something extraordinary. Carson, the man who mastered composure over decades, allows himself to feel. His eyes glisten, tears welling up, the weight of 30 years of laughter, joy, and unscripted moments pressing down in a single, intimate moment. The studio is silent, the audience hanging on every note, every pause. Carson doesn't hide, he doesn't deflect, he simply absorbs. It's vulnerability, raw and rare, and it resonates deeply. When the song ends, he leans forward, kisses her hand, and whispers words that speak volumes without fanfare. I can't top that. It's emotional, cinematic, a reminder that behind the legend was a man who felt deeply and allowed himself, just once, to be truly human on live television. And just when you think Carson's evening couldn't get any more unpredictable, imagine a 1979 segment with a capuchin monkey. Small, mischievous, and perfectly chaotic. The monkey decides Carson's hair is an ideal playground. In a blink, It's climbing, exploring, and completely disheveling the famously immaculate hair he's cultivated for decades. But here's the magic. Carson doesn't panic. He doesn't flee. He remains still, his face a mask of resigned amusement, letting the absurdity unfold in front of millions of viewers. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why I prefer Cats, he quips, hair in wild disarray, timing flawless. The audience roars, not at him, but with him. It's an extraordinary lesson in grace under pressure, and yet another reminder that true comedic brilliance often lies in embracing the unexpected. Now, picture 1980, Steve Martin, already carving his place as a pioneer of anti-comedy, steps onto Carson's stage. His routine, a deliberate display of absurdity, involves pulling eggs, a ringing phone, and eventually a tiny waving hand from his fly. Carson, playing the straight man, begins to crack. The surprise in his reactions perfectly timed, genuine, and utterly hilarious. The moment encapsulates a rare dynamic. Carson, the master of timing and control, becomes the audience himself, discovering the genius of another performer in real time. By the end, he's doubled over, helpless with laughter, allowing viewers a front-row seat to the magic of spontaneity and the power of pure comedic creativity. Robin Williams was no exception to this phenomenon. The early 1980s saw Carson facing a whirlwind of improvisational energy, the likes of which television had rarely witnessed. Williams leapt, joked, and shifted the conversation into realms Carson couldn't have predicted. Yet instead of steering the chaos, Carson surrendered. He leaned back, sometimes wiping away tears, letting Williams lead the audience through a frenetic, unpredictable journey. It was controlled chaos, a brilliant dance of energy and wit, showcasing Carson's genius in letting the brilliance of others shine while still anchoring the stage with his presence. And then there was Don Rickles, again, this time roasting Frank Sinatra in 1976. Tension thickens instantly. Sinatra, untouchable and revered, sits quietly, the risk of offense palpable. Rickles, fearless, launches a full-blown roast, the camera capturing Carson's nervous laughter, a rare crack in his polished facade. When Sinatra bursts into genuine laughter, relief floods the room, Carson included. The moment is electric, a testament to daring comedy, unshakable charisma, and the delicate art of navigating tension live. And now, brace yourself, because we're reaching a story that defines Unforgettable. Dolly Parton, 1977, her charm radiating, her wit sharp as ever. Carson, in a moment that shocked and delighted, makes a comment that would be talked about for years. A playful, bold line that danced on the edge of propriety. The audience reacts, the cameras capture it all, and Parton, ever graceful, laughs it off. It's tense, humorous, and undeniably human. Viewers wrote in droves, some horrified, some exhilarated. And yet, there's a beauty in the authenticity. The boundaries of television, humor, and human interaction all momentarily blurred, reminding us that even the king of late night could surprise, provoke, and captivate in ways no one could script. Every one of these moments shares something profound. Johnny Carson wasn't just a host, he was an observer, a participant, and sometimes the unsuspecting star of the unpredictability he navigated with grace. From laughter that shook the studio to tears that held decades of emotion, from wild animals to fearless comedians, Carson's world was a living, breathing testament to spontaneity and human connection. And as we move into the next part of our countdown, the surprises intensify. The stories become wilder, the chaos more outrageous, and the moments more unforgettable. You won't want to miss what's coming next, because number 5 through number 3 will push the boundaries of what you think you know about television history, revealing a side of Carson that few ever saw, and a side that will leave you completely amazed. All right, let's dive back into the madness, because the next moments on Johnny Carson's Tonight Show are even more jaw-dropping. We're moving into the heart of the countdown now, where chaos meets sheer brilliance, and where some of the most legendary television moments were born. Starting at number 5, we have a story that's as bizarre as it is unforgettable. Imagine it, 1978, the stage set for a seemingly normal interview with the incomparable Richard Pryor. Known for his fearless comedy and unflinching honesty, Pryor had a surprise in store. He walked onto the stage with a full prosthetic gorilla mask. Carson, ever the consummate professional, paused, eyes wide, trying to figure out if he was dreaming. The audience erupted before the punchline even landed. Pryor leapt into antics, mimicking a gorilla with astonishing precision, while Carson navigated the chaos with his trademark mix of bewilderment and humor. Every glance, every pause, every split-second reaction was pure gold. By the end of the segment, the studio was laughing uncontrollably, tears streaming, applause shaking the walls. And Carson, who usually maintained perfect control, let loose in a way that was both hilarious and human, proving again that unpredictability was part of the magic. Number 4. Oh, this one is wild. 1984, Johnny is joined by the rock legend Bruce Springsteen, who has a little trick up his sleeve. Out of nowhere, Springsteen grabs a guitar, strums a few notes, and suddenly, we're treated to an improvised, completely off-the-cuff performance that no one, including Carson, saw coming. Carson, who usually directed the show with meticulous timing, was now reacting in real time to raw creativity. His laughter, the slight jaw drop, the way he leaned forward, hanging on every note. It was mesmerizing. The cameras captured it all. But the magic wasn't just the performance, it was the shared experience, the electricity in the studio, the thrill of witnessing genius unfold live. By the end, Carson whispered something barely audible into the microphone. "I did not see that coming." And the audience went wild, because that was the beauty of Carson's show. You never knew what was coming. And when it hit hard. Now, let's talk about number 3, a segment that redefined what live television could be. It's 1980, and the incomparable Steve Allen joins as a surprise guest, sparking an impromptu sketch that teeters on chaos. Carson, typically the anchor, becomes the foil to Allen's manic energy. Chairs topple, papers fly, and props go everywhere. But somehow, amidst the mayhem, it's brilliant. The audience is on the edge of their seats, laughing, gasping, sometimes unsure if it's scripted or pure anarchy. Carson's timing, his pauses, the subtle glances into the camera, they're masterful, showing why he was the king. Every reaction feels genuine. Every exasperated look earns laughs, and every improvised line hits harder than the last. This segment wasn't just entertainment. It was a lesson in spontaneity, a testament to Carson's ability to find gold in chaos, to turn unpredictability into pure comedy art. But before we move to the top 2, we have to take a breath and revisit a quieter yet profoundly human moment. In 1986, Mikhail Baryshnikov, the ballet legend, visited the show, and what happened was almost cinematic in its subtlety. Carson, who had joked and laughed through decades of absurdity, became a student again, watching Baryshnikov demonstrate a seemingly impossible ballet move right there on stage. The tension, the awe, the silent gasps from the audience. Carson's eyes widened with genuine amazement. I can't even imagine trying that," he whispered, almost to himself. The beauty of the performance, paired with Carson's humility, created a moment of intimacy rarely captured on national television. For a few fleeting minutes, the laughter subsided, replaced by reverence, and the audience, sensing the gravity, held their collective breath. That's the power of Carson. He could make the absurd hilarious and the beautiful profoundly moving, all in the same hour. All right, now it's time to build toward number 2. And this story is the one that keeps people talking decades later. It's 1975, and Carson is hosting a young Robin Williams early in his career. The energy is electric, unpredictable, and at times completely overwhelming. Williams darts across the stage, bouncing between jokes, impressions, and improvised antics that leave the audience, and Carson, breathless. For the first time, Carson is truly the straight man in a comedy act, where he's usually the lead. His reactions, priceless, oscillate between bewilderment, incredulity, and sheer delight. There's a moment when Williams suddenly grabs a prop from the desk, a harmless-looking rubber chicken, and turns it into the centerpiece of a whirlwind of improvisation. Carson, caught off guard, freezes, pauses, and then erupts with laughter so genuine that it could be felt in living rooms across America. That night, television wasn't just entertainment. It was electricity, spontaneity, genius meeting legend, and a glimpse of two brilliant minds colliding in real time. It's one of those segments where you can't stop watching, can't help but marvel, and realize you're witnessing something extraordinary. And now, before we reveal number one, let's pause to savor the tension. The open loop we've been teasing, the one hinted at since part one, is about to pay off. Carson had a knack for letting unpredictability simmer, for building suspense without the audience even realizing it. These final moments, number two and number one, are more than just shocking or funny. They're transformative, redefining what live television could do. And the lead-up, the anticipation, it's almost unbearable, because you know something remarkable is about to unfold. Number two, in all its chaotic glory, comes from 1981, when Johnny faced a guest no one could have anticipated. A miniature horse, wandering casually onto the stage. Carson's reaction, half panic, half pure delight, was priceless. The horse trotted, snorted, and at one point nudged the desk, sending pens and props flying. Carson, staying composed yet completely caught in the absurdity, quipped, "Well, I did not see this in rehearsal." The audience, erupting in laughter, watched as Carson navigated live unpredictability like a tightrope walker, balancing humor, composure, and awe. It wasn't just funny, it was art. It was an exploration of spontaneity, a celebration of the unpredictable, and a reminder that Carson's true genius lay in his ability to turn chaos into cinematic brilliance. As part two closes, the tension is palpable. The stories we've covered, Pryor's gorilla mask, Springsteen's impromptu performance, Allen's chaotic sketch, Baryshnikov's ballet, Williams's improvisational storm, and the miniature horse, have all built to something monumental. The stakes are higher, the energy is more electric, and the anticipation for number one is almost unbearable. Carson's magic wasn't just in his jokes or interviews. It was in how he made the unpredictable feel inevitable, how he created tension, laughter, and emotional connection simultaneously. By the time we reach the next segment, you will understand why he's remembered as not just a host, but as a master orchestrator of television itself. So, take a breath. Because what's coming next is the climax, the crown jewel, the moment that tops all of these insane, unforgettable stories. Number one is more than a segment. It's a piece of television history that will leave you stunned, amazed, and in awe of Johnny Carson's genius. From here, every anticipation, every suspenseful pause, every glance into the camera, every second of chaos, all of it leads to a revelation so remarkable, so unforgettable, that it changes everything you thought you knew about live television. And yes, it's coming right up in Parch. When we left off, the stage had already been set with chaos, laughter, and moments that defied expectation. And yet, as you'll see, The Tonight Show was only warming up. The unpredictability of Johnny Carson was legendary. But certain guests didn't just surprise him, they redefined what live television could be. At number 5, we step into a moment of sheer absurdity and genius. The time Steve Martin completely upended the show with his great Flyini magic routine. Now, Steve wasn't just a comedian. No, he was an architect of chaos, a master of absurdity. And that night, he turned Carson's stage into a circus of the utterly unexpected. As the audience leaned forward, Steve announced he would perform magic. Simple enough, right? But what followed was pure, unfiltered brilliance. First came a silent, deliberate pause. He reached into his fly and, wait for it, pulled out an egg. The audience erupted in laughter, Carson's eyebrows raising in stunned amusement. And then came the salt shaker, ringing telephone, and finally, the tiny waving hand, all emerging from his fly in a series of escalating impossibilities. The brilliance wasn't just in the objects, it was in the timing, the deadpan delivery, and the way Johnny Carson reacted. At first, he played the straight man, his controlled smile masking the internal battle of disbelief and delight. But soon, even his legendary composure cracked, and he was doubled over, gasping for air, the studio echoing with the sound of pure, contagious laughter. "That's incredible," he finally managed between laughs, eyes glinting with admiration. This wasn't just comedy. It was a lesson in timing, imagination, and the art of letting go. Steve Martin reminded us all that sometimes the best television happens when the host isn't in control. And Johnny, ever the professional, became a partner in the madness rather than its victim. But the night didn't stop there. Number 4 brings us a segment that combined genuine fear, instinctive reaction, and humor in a way that could never have been scripted. A little monkey, cute as a button but full of mischief, leapt straight onto Johnny's head during a live segment. Joanne Steele, the animal handler, had introduced her capuchin with a smile, explaining its quirks while Carson listened politely, the audience settling into comfortable anticipation. Then, suddenly, the monkey climbed. His perfectly coiffed hair became a jungle gym. Johnny froze, the faintest hint of panic flickering across his face. And yet, what made this moment extraordinary wasn't fear. It was his reaction. He didn't scream, flail, or call for help. Instead, he allowed the absurdity to unfold, his expression a mixture of resigned amusement and incredulity. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why I prefer cats, he quipped, his timing flawless, the audience erupting again. It was a glimpse of a host who could maintain dignity while embracing chaos, a man who made us feel safe even when everything went off script. The monkey became a symbol not just of unpredictability, but of Carson's genius at turning potential disaster into timeless comedy. At number 3, the stakes rose higher still. Robin Williams, a whirlwind of energy and improvisation, entered the studio and transformed The Tonight Show into a storm of uncontainable brilliance. Normally, Carson controlled the rhythm, guiding conversation like a skilled conductor. But Robin was lightning in human form, impossible to predict, and utterly captivating. That night, ostensibly there to promote a movie, Robin immediately leapt from the chair, launched into impressions, physical bits, and rapid-fire jokes, turning Carson's meticulously timed set into something electrifyingly unpredictable. The control room panicked, unsure how to manage this human tornado. And yet, Johnny simply leaned back, allowing the chaos to take center stage. His laughter, often restrained and calculated, came unfiltered and raw, his eyes shining with delight. Watching Robin wasn't just funny, it was mesmerizing. The audience became part of a shared experience of spontaneity, each gasp and chuckle a collective thrill. Robin forced Carson, normally the master of every frame, to relinquish control, and in doing so, revealed the pure joy of live performance. It was a masterclass in improvisation, a reminder that the greatest moments often emerge when the rules are bent, if not broken entirely. Before we move on to number 2, consider this. The Tonight Show was built on the foundation of preparation, polish, and timing. And yet, the moments that endured in memory were the ones where everything went wrong, or everything went unexpectedly right. That delicate tension between control and chaos was the heartbeat of Johnny Carson's brilliance. And it wasn't just about comedy. It was about authenticity, about human reactions, about witnessing a man with decades of experience allow himself to be genuinely surprised, genuinely entertained, and genuinely vulnerable. Speaking of vulnerability, number 2 is a moment that still makes those who witnessed it shiver with awe. Jimmy Stewart, the beloved actor with a gentle, halting voice and a warmth that could disarm any audience, appeared one night to share a personal poem about his recently deceased dog, Bo. What could have been a simple sentimental interlude became an almost spiritual experience. Stewart's delivery was tender, each word weighted with emotion, and Carson, the king of late-night composure, visibly trembled. Tears welled in his eyes. The silence in the studio was profound. Not a sound, not a breath, could break the spell. Johnny didn't laugh, didn't quip, didn't step away. He simply sat, fully human, fully present. I can't believe this, he murmured, a rare crack in the armor of decades-long professionalism. The audience didn't just watch, they felt. Every heart seemed to expand, every eye glistened, as if Stewart's words had been whispered directly into their souls. This was the magic of Carson at his most exposed, the power of television at its most intimate. Moments like these weren't just entertainment. They were transformation, a sudden, profound reminder that even icons are human, that even legends feel deeply, and that sometimes, vulnerability is the most powerful stage presence of all. And yet, the unpredictability didn't end there. From a wild animal on his head to a whirlwind of improvisation and the raw power of genuine emotion, The Tonight Show thrived on that delicate balance. Each segment, each guest, each unscripted moment became a lens through which the audience glimpsed not just celebrities, but Carson himself, the man behind the desk. Human, flawed, joyous, terrified, and entirely relatable. These weren't rehearsed reactions. These were lived experiences broadcast to millions, capturing the thrill of discovery, the shock of the unexpected, and the pure delight of shared laughter. We haven't even reached the climax yet, and you can already see why these moments endure. They weren't just funny, or awkward, or heartwarming. They were emblematic of something far greater. The Tonight Show was a mirror reflecting the unpredictability of life, and Johnny Carson was our guide through it. His reactions weren't just responses. They were lessons in humanity, in empathy, and in the courage to embrace the unknown. As the countdown edges closer to the unforgettable number 1, you can feel the tension building, the stakes rising, and the anticipation becoming almost unbearable. Each story, each laugh, each gasp has been a breadcrumb leading to something truly extraordinary. A moment so iconic, so perfectly unplanned, that it transcends comedy and becomes legend. And that's the beauty of The Tonight Show. Johnny Carson wasn't just a host. He was a participant, a witness, and a curator of life's most unexpected theatrical moments. When the monkey leapt, when Martin unzipped his imagination, when Robin broke all rules, or when Stewart revealed a heart so tender, Carson didn't simply react. He elevated the moment. He showed us all how to find joy in surprise, laughter in chaos, and connection in shared vulnerability. The stage was never just a stage. It was a theater of human experience, with Carson as both star and spectator. Now, before we reveal the number 1 most insane moment, trust me, you don't want to blink. We need to pause and take it in. The Tonight Show wasn't just about guests or jokes. It was about the magic that happens when preparation meets unpredictability, when a host dares to step back, and when a moment is so perfect that it feels as if the universe conspired to create it. Johnny Carson was the king of that universe. He didn't just control the night. He mastered the art of surrender. And in the top 1 moment, you're about to see the culmination of decades of brilliance, spontaneity, and sheer, unfiltered humanity. It's a revelation that shocked audiences, redefined live television, and reminded everyone why we still talk about Johnny Carson all these years later. But as you'll see, the number 1 moment isn't just insane, it's unforgettable. It's a reminder that even the most composed, meticulous, and revered host could be completely undone by surprise, joy, or chaos in a way that left the world laughing, gasping, and utterly mesmerized. And that's what makes The Tonight Show more than a program. It makes it a living, breathing legend. Even after that unforgettable buzzer moment with Richard Pryor, the energy in the studio did not simply dissipate. It lingered like an electric current, a reminder that live television is a living, breathing organism, capable of shocking even its most seasoned participants. Johnny Carson sat behind his desk, a master of composure, but you could sense it. His heartbeat matched the rhythm of the audience, the room vibrating with awe and anticipation. He wasn't just hosting, he was participating in a shared moment of history. Every laugh, every gasp, every subtle pause carried weight. And what made this night so special, so utterly insane, was the way unpredictability and preparation collided in perfect harmony. It was a balancing act, teetering on the edge of chaos, yet anchored by Johnny's unmatched instincts, his empathy, and his ability to trust the moment. After the buzzer incident, Richard Pryor continued to toy with the format, pushing boundaries that few could even conceive. At one point, he leaned casually against the desk, speaking with a quiet intensity that belied the outrageous antics moments before. "Johnny, you ever think about the moments that just slip away?" he asked, voice calm yet charged. The audience leaned in, hanging on every word. Carson paused, adjusting his tie, and gazing at Richard with a mixture of curiosity and admiration. "Moments like these," Johnny replied slowly, "well, we just try to make them memorable." But it wasn't just a line, it was a philosophy, a reflection of the ethos that had guided his show for decades. Every episode was a gamble, a careful orchestration of chaos, humor, and humanity. And when it all came together, it felt like magic. Behind the scenes, the crew was equally caught in the spell of that night. Cameras rolled, lights shifted, and cues were executed with precision. Yet there was a sense of freedom, a fluidity that can only happen when everyone involved knows they are witnessing something extraordinary. Stagehands whispered in disbelief, makeup artists peeked from behind their stations, and the band played with a slightly heightened sense of anticipation, knowing they were part of an iconic moment. It's one thing to prepare meticulously. It's another to feel alive while every carefully planned detail has the potential to be upended. Johnny Carson thrived in that space. He welcomed it. And the audience, both live and at home, could feel it. That electricity, that connection, was what made moments like these transcend time. Then came the quieter, more intimate parts of the show. The moments between the chaos and the comedy. The glimpses of Johnny Carson as a human being, not just an icon. After the buzzer and the laughter had subsided, he and Richard shared a conversation that was almost reflective, touching on the nature of fame, performance, and the fleeting beauty of live television. Pryor spoke about his early days, the struggles, the nights when the spotlight felt blinding and the audience felt like strangers. Carson listened, leaning forward slightly, nodding, eyes softening in recognition. "We all chase the same thing," Johnny said softly. "A moment that matters. A moment that makes them remember us." And for a few minutes, the show shifted from a spectacle of insane antics to a deeply human experience. Viewers watching could sense it. The laughter had faded, but the weight of connection lingered. It's this duality, the balance between absurdity and authenticity, that made Johnny Carson's show truly unparalleled. One moment, a hand buzzer sends him jolting across the desk. The next, a quiet conversation reveals the soul behind the laughter. It's a roller coaster, a journey through emotion that feels cinematic and timeless. And the genius of Carson was not just in the moments themselves, but in his ability to hold them together, to allow space for both chaos and introspection to coexist. Every guest, from comedians to singers to actors, understood that stepping onto his stage was entering a world where anything could happen, and often did. And this brings us to the finale of that unforgettable night. After Richard Pryor exited, leaving the studio buzzing with excitement, Johnny leaned back in his chair, taking a breath, the kind that carries decades of experience, laughter, and moments lived fully. The camera lingered on him, capturing a rare, unguarded smile, a quiet acknowledgement that this episode had been one for the ages. It was a testament to his instinct, his timing, and his ability to make every viewer feel like a participant in something magical. As the applause swelled and the credits began to roll, the weight of what had just happened settled in. This wasn't just a funny clip or a viral moment. It was television at its peak. A perfect storm of timing, talent, and human unpredictability. But what made these moments truly insane wasn't only the outrageous antics or the shocking pranks, it was the emotional resonance. Johnny Carson had the rare gift of making viewers feel like they were part of the experience. The hand buzzer, the cake, the unexpected improvisations, they were spectacular, yes, but what made them unforgettable was that Carson's reactions were real. The laughter was genuine, the awe was palpable, and the empathy, subtle but undeniable, made audiences not just spectators, but participants in a shared adventure. It's worth remembering that Johnny didn't create these moments alone. Behind every insane moment was a carefully orchestrated team. A combination of talented producers, alert stagehands, brilliant camera operators, and musicians ready to adapt on the fly. Yet Carson's presence was the anchor, the human element that allowed chaos to become art. When he reacted, we reacted. When he paused, we paused. And in that shared rhythm, history was made. Reflecting on the broader legacy, The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson was more than a talk show. It was a training ground for spontaneity, a stage for genius, and a sanctuary for laughter. The insane moments, whether a surprise prop, an unexpected prank, or a guest's improvisation, were more than entertainment. They were microcosms of life itself, unpredictable, thrilling, sometimes chaotic, and always fleeting. And like life, these moments were magnified by the presence of someone who could navigate the unknown with grace, humor, and humanity. Carson's ability to pivot, to embrace the unexpected, and to find joy in the chaos is what made his show timeless. Even decades later, the influence is unmistakable. Modern talk shows, viral clips, and live broadcasts all owe a debt to the groundwork Johnny laid. Every shocked expression, every improvised laugh, every audience gasp is a descendant of those moments we've just relived. And yet, despite this influence, nothing quite replicates the raw, unfiltered magic of the original. It's a reminder that some brilliance can't be copied. It can only be experienced. Johnny Carson's genius was, at its core, simple. He reminded us that life is unpredictable, that laughter is essential, and that moments, ordinary or insane, can become extraordinary when approached with courage, authenticity, and joy. From the chaos of Richard Pryor's antics to the charm of Bette Midler's impromptu performance, every insane moment we've explored tonight wasn't just about the spectacle. It was about human connection, about being present, and about embracing the unexpected with grace and delight. So, as we say goodbye to these 16 insane moments, let's carry the lesson forward. Live boldly, embrace unpredictability, and find joy in the chaos. Johnny Carson did all of this every night, and in doing so, he created memories that will never fade, laughter that still resonates, and television moments that continue to inspire. He didn't just entertain, he transformed ordinary nights into legendary experiences, proving that the magic of live performance lies in the union of preparation, spontaneity, and heart. And there it is, the culmination of our journey through the most insane, unforgettable, and jaw-dropping moments on Johnny Carson. The memories, the laughter, the gasps, they remain timeless and untouchable, a testament to the power of human spontaneity and the genius of a man who understood that the best moments often happen when you least expect them. Tonight, we've laughed, marveled, and gasped alongside millions of viewers from decades past. We've felt the electricity, the suspense, and the humanity that made Carson a legend. And as the screen fades to black, we are reminded that television is not just about scripts, cameras, or lights. It's about the raw, unfiltered moments that make us feel alive. Johnny Carson gave us that gift, night after night, and what a gift it was.
Used, basically, because you hear intelligent people from both political parties or in the middle, conservatives and liberals, and they all seem to have different answers as to what is going wrong in the country. Some people say, well, let's let the government spend